Well, what are we gonna do today, Lucas?
We are going to fix and find out what is wrong with our trailer, because we have found water underneath our trailer and completely wet insulation.
Yes, so we have water problems yet again. So we're going to pull down the underbelly today. We are going to get on top of the roof, check our slide seals, and we're going to check out and see exactly what the problem is, where it's coming from, and what we got to do to fix it. So stay tuned. It's going to be a wet and wild ride. Well, hello again. Well, we are underneath of our trailer once more. We have found a soft spot in our bunkhouse. And I'll show you guys a couple tips and tricks. The underbelly in mine are faceted with screws and also nails. They had used a hydraulic hammer to drive these nails into the steel, and they're a little bit of a bear to get out. But I'll show you what I've kind of been doing to get them out. The heads of them stick out maybe a good 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch. I've literally just been taking a chisel and a hammer and knocking the head about 5 or 6 good whacks. Once the head gets bent a little bit to get your claw underneath, you can pry them out. And also the vibration of the steel, it gets that rivet loose, so that way it can come out. I'll show you what I'm doing here to get it out. And that's it. That's all we've been doing. As you can see, I got these nice little nail rivets. You can't unscrew them. I've tried, they don't work. So I've just been knocking them out this way. You can take a grinder and grind them out, but this way seems to be working pretty well. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep chugging along, getting the rest of these screws out of this underbelly here, and stay tuned and we'll see what we're working with. Hopefully it's nothing bad.
We have just hooked up water from our grandparents' house to the trailer, and right now Dad is trying to find out where the water is leaking from. Because right under here, over here, the insulation was completely wet. So we need to find that out because that is a major issue.
Well, we got the underbelly off. As you can see up here, here's our floor rot. We have done a water leak test. We pressure checked the lines, we pressure checked the valves. Right now we're trying to figure out exactly where the water's coming from. It sections off to this little 3-foot area. It doesn't go forward or behind it, which is weird because the only water here is my black tank flush line and the hot and cold going to the shower in the bath. Like, this insulation is dry. All back there is what was soaking wet. That's what I'm saying. If it was a kid's bathroom, there'd be a water stain all the way back. So is this the soft spot that you were... This is a soft spot right here.
Yeah, I see
That's like the water starts here. From this point forward, there's no indication of water. Like the wood's not stained at all. From this point back. And then from about right here is where the water stops. There's no more indication of water damage further back. Well, that's dry and not stained. I don't see any indication of anything back there. All right, we got the underbelly taken down. We found our affected area of water. The insulation underneath there in the rear bunk was completely soaked, so we had to cut all that out, dry everything down. We're going to soak everything with Clorox to make sure there's no mold issues. The next step is we trace down the water. We hooked water up to the trailer. We pressurized all the lines. There are 3 water lines going back to the back of the trailer. There's the hot water line, the cold water line, and also we have a rear black tank. So there's a rear black tank flush line. I put water to all 3 of those lines to make sure that there's no leaks from there. Sometimes these lines can get a pinhole in them from rubbing and vibration, creating a pinhole or a slight leak. That's not our case. Right now, yesterday it was raining outside, so I took it to our closest school and I was actually able to put all the slides out and inspect our seals, and it turns out we do have a slide seal issue. That is where our water is entering our trailer. So today... All right, so we're doing some seal investigation, and I don't know if you can see this, probably about 3/8 gap right here in my top seal where it double-sided tapes to the side of my trailer. Well, alongside here, it gets all the way tight and good. Here, when Heartland installed the seal, sorry asses at the dealership, which has had many problems at the manufacturer with just sorry ass shit like this, you can't even push it in. Like, this is as far as it goes. They left this gap this far open in my trailer from the manufacturer. So Heartland, way to go, guys. Good job. Well, we are underneath the trailer here. We have found our soft spot, as you can see. I don't know if my son can zoom in here and you can see the hole we have in our bunkhouse in the back here. So we are currently figuring out a way to cut out a section of this flooring and replace it with good wood, and to get all this rot out of here. So stay tuned. As we're working, we'll take pictures and let you guys know how we're going. But right now we found the hole and the problem. We're just kind of figuring out how in the heck we're going to do this without having to take the slide and the flooring, the vinyl flooring from the inside of the camper out. Stay tuned. All right, so here we are. We are cutting out our bad spot in the flooring. There are other ways to do this. You can do it with a circular saw. You can do it with a grinder. There wasn't a lot of room where I was working with because I had the frame and the subframe, and also had my laminate floor on the top side, which I did not want to cut and damage. All right, as you can see here, we finally got the wet spot all cut out. We got it nice and trimmed up. I did indeed cut it on top of this 2x3 beam so we can lip it over top here and it can have some support. If you notice, this is the vinyl flooring on the bottom side of my bunkhouse. So when I cut this, I took some shims and I put it in between the flooring and the laminate flooring to create probably about a 1/4 of an inch gap. So that way, as I was cutting, I didn't cut my laminate flooring. I will be definitely very careful of that because I did not want to damage that and have to go through replacing that on the inside, which would be one heck of a project. So right now we're going to cut, we're going to measure, we're going to get our replacement piece cut and fit in, and then I'll show you guys what we're going to do next once we get all that situated. Patch back up in here. We got our cross members supported on our seams so that we have a nice solid floor. I also put these L brackets on to make sure that the floor stays attached to the subframes that I put in there because I won't be able to screw it down from the top. But as you can see, it's a good solid repair that should last us for time to come. Now to put the insulation back on, the underbelly, and we'll wrap this project up. All right, we're in the shop now. We got the plywood back in, we got the subfloor put back in. We opened up the slides to make sure there's no issues, make sure there's no high spots on the laminate floor. Everything is working out perfectly. Now it's time to put the insulation back together. I decided to go with a styrofoam insulation this time around for a couple different reasons. For one, it's substantially cheaper. For two, it has the same R value for this. I'm using 2-inch. This has roughly about a 10 R value of the insulation that was previously in there. For three, I do plan on putting a water barrier back up on the bottom side of the RV underneath the insulation, but also this insulation, because it's styrofoam, if it gets wet, it will dry out and won't hold the moisture just like your standard insulation will. Now obviously if this styrofoam is in a pool of water for a long period of time, it will hold water, but if it just gets wet once or twice, it will dry off. So that's why I'm choosing to use this insulation. So I've cut all my pieces to size. I'm gonna go fit all those up and we're gonna keep going with this process. All right, well now that we got the insulation back in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now put a water barrier back underneath this. The old existing insulation did come with a water barrier. I don't know if you can see this. Did come with a water barrier attached to the insulation, so I do want to replace that to make sure that just as another protective measure, to make sure that no water or moisture gets underneath here, because we still do have wood and other insulation also in the front, towards the front of the trailer, as you can see here. So we do want to protect that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I You're going to get some thick 50 mil, 50 gallon contractor's trash bags, and I'm going to duct tape all those together and create a water barrier. If you don't want to be a cheap ass like me, you can go and get some Tyvek home wrap, and actually get a water barrier put up there. But for me, the 50 mil plastic is waterproof, therefore it should be a water barrier. And I already have those here, so I'm not going to go out and waste any more of my money. But by all means, if you feel like you need to, go for it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm just a cheap ass. Tell you what, it's been an interesting process getting this floor fixed up. You know, all of it started from some seals that Heartland was not able to install properly from the manufacturer, creating a 1/4 inch gap. And when they siliconed the seal, they didn't do a good job siliconing the gap up. So they essentially tried to put a band-aid on top of a band-aid, which didn't work out. So the end user, being me, purchaser of a 2-year-old trailer, had to go through all this trouble. But anyways, I hope you guys learned something in the process. You know, I definitely did. Got the underbelly off this trailer. I want to go ahead and get some of these hydraulic lines, electrical lines, water lines zip tied up, because they're all just dangling, which means going down the road, they're going to vibrate a little bit, and sometimes they'll get a chafe or they'll get a leak. So I'm just going to go ahead and tidy everything up before I put the underbelly back on. And that'll be it for this video. Don't forget that like and subscribe button. We'll see y'all next time.